Yeah, I'm pushing it. I'm pushing this to YouTube right now.
All right. I'm going to do something a little different today too.
Yeah. And you'll set up a landing page for your thing, because I think you're totally right. I think we're giving this a good go. We've got to do some dramatically different stuff from now on, haven't we?
A little bit.
You know, go up the game a bit, and I think, right. So looks like we're live on.
And I apologize. Hopefully you can't hear the noise. They're doing some concrete work on the high rise.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Okay.
So we're live on Facebook. So just press the record button. And, just give me a second. I just want to get this up.
Yeah. I'll just put a couple things on the screen here.
Right. Let's press the thing. Right. 3, 2, 1. Hi there, folks. It's Jonathan Denwood here. It's another monthly webinar with my co-host, Spencer Forum. We're going to be talking about all things landing pages, funnels, how you can use that logo kit that we've been talking about through these webinars to build landing pages and funnels that are the equivalent of ClickFunnels or Shopify. And I'm just going to throw it over to Spencer. He can introduce himself, and then hopefully we can dive into this amazing world, Spencer.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm Spencer Foreman, and we've met before, but you probably just see me on the WP-Tonic show. I've been working in WordPress since the beginning, since 2006. And my expertise level comes from having helped over 30,000 clients and students to understand how they can use WordPress and its components to either build a business for themselves or to build the business that their clients need. The neat thing is, and that's what we're going to talk about today, that WordPress finally has evolved to the point where there's certain components, if you get a little help, that can create a platform in itself. So rather than relying upon being a subscriber and sort of locked into a gilded cage of either a ClickFunnels or a Kartra or a Shopify or Wix or Weebly and so forth, by using WordPress and open source, you can own it, control it for yourself, your client. But best of all, because it is open source and the products have matured, if you know which ones to use and you put them together properly, you end up with something way more powerful, way more capable, and at a fraction of the cost. So in this webinar, we said at a third of the price. I think it's actually closer to 1/10 of the price in some cases. But just to be conservative, for most people, as we'll show, the cost of ownership of a WordPress site would maybe, with all of the premium plugins required, run you between $600 and $1,200 a year. In a typical hosted platform like a ClickFunnels, you're going to pay at minimum $300 a month just for access to the platform. And that is to say nothing about getting support, because one of the things we're going to talk about real quickly is the difference between using the open source plugins and the support of the special authors or intermediary like WP-Tonic or WP Launchify, or going to a platform. When you go to a platform, you get the simplicity and the appearance of immediate satisfaction, but in the long run, you end up paying dearly in some cases for the lack of capability to do more than they allow you to do. Metaphorically, imagine you never rode a bicycle, or your little kid never rode a bicycle, and you said you had a choice. Either I'm going to give you a tricycle today that you can immediately start rolling around the neighborhood with no help from me, or I'm going to give you a 10-speed bike with some training wheels on it. If you give the kid a tricycle today, absolutely no question, they will be off to the park by themselves, happy as a bug in a rug. A 10-speed with training wheels, you're going to have to help them a little bit today. But guess what? In a few years, when that kid is high school aged and they're rolling on into high school on their tricycle versus rolling in on their 10-speed bike like Lance Armstrong ready to go to the Tour de France, there's going to be a big difference of paying now versus paying later. And similarly, with WordPress, with a little help, free or otherwise, you can make some choices about assembling things for yourself or your clients that maybe people who are uninformed will say, gee, that's so hard. And oh my God, I can just go onto the platform. It's so easy. But in truth, you take the easy approach today, and in a couple days, weeks, months, you find yourself trapped or dead-ended or locked into something. And that's where the majority of our consultancy clients come from. People that were taking the fast and easy choice, maybe took some vintage suggestions and ended up in a dead end. Once they got back to the system on WordPress, everything opened up again. So today we're going to try to help you understand the nuances of this. Let's start, and I'm going to do a little differently than before. Normally I've prepared slides. Today I want to be a little hands-on. So if John, you can enable screen sharing, I will share my screen.
I will do. I forgot.
Because the goal here is to show you that you can have the platform of your dreams, self-help or otherwise, fraction of the cost, fraction of the time, and there's no longer any excuse not to go with WordPress. All right, so let's start with some basic stuff. In our webinar, we talked about a couple examples, ClickFunnels and Shopify, right? So let's just look at what they offer. First of all, Russell Brunson, incredible marketer. I don't take anything away from his marketing advice. In fact, just the opposite. I encourage everybody to follow his marketing advice, read his books. The sales funnels and the value ladder and everything are things we work with every day. I'm saying you don't need the software or to be locked into ClickFunnels, which the reality is they don't put their pricing on here. They entice people for $99 a month, but it's a hamstrung version of the real thing. The real thing will cost you $300 a month in perpetuity. One site, one domain. And the help that you get will not be the kind of help you will get from the WordPress community about how to do more things with your site. They will say this works or this doesn't, this does what it was supposed to do or it doesn't, but they don't really have any interest or capability to give you advice beyond the scope of that. Whereas WordPress, you do have that. Same thing over here. Shopify is an incredible e-commerce platform by itself. However, Shopify does not have a model where you can do anything outside of the platform. So they've got a wealth of developers who you can lease, literally lease their products every month. So even though you start out with this, wow, it's a tricycle, I can do it today. As soon as you want to add some features in, you start having to add on to your lease. And it's kind of like being in Las Vegas and eating food or drinking from the mini bar. Your $100 a night room becomes very quickly far more expensive. And again, it's locked into the platform. You can't get to the code. Nobody can make a cool new plugin. Nobody can get underneath the hood and change it through the theme or the page builder. You get what you get, what you get. So in both ClickFunnels and Shopify, you are making a deal with your client or your own site that says the simplicity of this and all I'm going to do is fine. I don't need more. If that's you, then you can stop watching and listening to us now and just go use those platforms. But if you even have the inkling that you're going to want to do more, then you really owe it to yourself to consider just using the stack of stuff from WordPress. Now, in the past, I've had free calls with people where I've taken the time to interview everybody and go over all the basic details of which ingredients does somebody need. In order to take all of that data, it was necessary for me to learn from literally thousands upon thousands of people what they need to do and how it matches up with the existing plugins and other services that work in the WordPress space. We've now automated that because we have at WP Launchify for free a self-evaluation tool that lets you get a recommendation of which things you need. We were talking about this on the WP-Tonic show today because there was an article about whether you needed an LMS or you just need something to do membership access to videos and stuff. WP Launchify's free tool is an amazing way for you to figure out for any job or any project you're working on, how to get what you need. And the result is going to be a very small stack of things that will give you essentially the ingredients to stay within in order to achieve the same results as a ClickFunnels or a Shopify. We can even run through this for free. I mean, it only takes under 3 minutes, but let's just do it for fun for free here. And we have no affiliate links. There's no gimmick. We're not selling you anything. So it's either you have a new site or you have an upgrade of an existing site. With clients, it's always an upgrade of an existing site. How experienced are you as the freelancer or the site owner? Let's say in this case, I'm advanced. And these are conditional logic. So we built in here after years and thousands of experiences, logic trees that go from maybe a couple questions to more, depending on what you answer, but really think through which things to recommend to you. Most people have a budget between 2,500 to 5,000. Let's just call it, conservative. Do you need it right now, or do you need it later this year? Let's just say we really got to get it going. And here's some things that are important. As I was mentioning, you go to a platform, they are going to help you with the platform. They are not going to help you with your business needs, your strategy, your psychology, or the other things that you're buying the platform for. That's your problem. That's why they'll tell you go hire a consultant. So in WordPress, personal service and support is really fundamental. I would say good documentation, simplicity, and then in some cases you could choose third party, but I'm going to stick with just three choices. What are you doing here? So let's say we're talking about the idea that we're going to do like a ClickFunnels. It's going to have leads or prospects for sure. And maybe you're also offering some digital products. There could be some social networking or otherwise. What do you sell? Is it things that you ship to people like ClickFunnels, or is it stuff that they download, or it could be both? What do you use for achieving money? Some people take money online, so credit cards and PayPal. Other people do like a net 30, net 60, send us a check, or something where you pay us in a different manner, ACH. Do you allow for one-time only payments, or is there also a subscription payment component? And then e-commerce features. So there are very specific use cases where you would maybe need a plugin to sell one-to-many. So for example, you're selling to a school and the person who makes the purchases is buying for 100 seats, or you're selling to a corporation and they're buying, for their team members. And John, I don't know if I'm frozen, I'm live, but okay, you're just not moving. Okay, I thought we were froze. So here, let's say we have group and team. Some people want to create an environment where they can have multiple people selling their products in one marketplace, which is a powerful feature of WordPress. And then sales funnel stuff, upsell, downsells, bumps. That's where our LaunchFlows plugins help. But this is something that almost everybody uses as well. And then finally, marketing automation is really almost the secret sauce to everything. Being able to measure and track what people do, see, click, buy, consume, and so on, and storing it to your favorite CRM is the meat and potatoes of all of this, because that gives you the ability to deliver a personal journey from start to finish for every buyer. And if you don't know how to do this yet, or you haven't experienced this, this is really the core of what we do. So I'm going to say yes in almost every case. If you don't know what this is, you can just say, I'd like to learn more. It's all good. Okay, a report spits out. That's all there is to it. This report is free. You can use it and consume it, print it, do whatever you want at the moment, but it's going to give you a stack of stuff. And I want to address what this means, but I also want to say almost everybody should click to save their personal result, and they can store it and send it to themselves or to their client. That way they can come back to it later. All right. So this, gives the actual differential result for your particular answers. You click to save it, and it's as simple as first name, last name, email. Make sure it's something that you'll see, because it's going to send you the link so you'll have it. Okay, let's talk about the difference between WordPress as a solution versus the platforms. If you can imagine that we took all of the brand labels off of the plugins. In the old days, it was willy-nilly. Anybody makes any plugin and theme for any reason. Nobody was communicating. In the new world, and I participate in this, there is a small scope of authors who make the key plugins and products, and we all communicate together now. I like to think that I have something to do with trying to coordinate some of the education, but there's a group of well-known people that are all consistently delivering the same kind of information, so that if you have certain plugins, they now work together either directly or through marketing automation. And if you think about it, that's exactly what ClickFunnels does, or Shopify, except that theirs is all just white labeled, right? If they have an LMS component, well, they just put it into their thing, and they don't, but if you did, they put it into their thing and it's white label. You're just like turning on the component. Upsells, downsells, and ClickFunnels, well, that's just a component. Here, you've got a brand, you've got an author, you've got a support system, but you understand now that if you choose the right one, that all of these plugin authors have been selected because they work as a system with the other plugins that are recommended. So you really have like a kind of like a Costco. You have the best in class for the particular job that the things that you need to have done are being recommended for, but you don't get it white labeled. Like we're not hiding that this is Stripe or this is Astra or this is WooCommerce. Okay, So in our particular case, one of the surprising things is that many people don't understand, but I want to recommend that in today's world, the page builder carries the heavy lifting of the design and the mechanics and everything else. So in the old days, we used to have custom themes that did all the fancy stuff. We don't do that now. So you can use a very lightweight free theme like Astra. Stripe as a gateway is probably the most popular, well-known way to take credit cards instantly in most markets, but you can also use PayPal and other gateways for WooCommerce. But Stripe is a absolute no-brainer in almost all westernized countries. WooCommerce is actually the transactional engine that drives most of the client onboarding, the dashboard, all of the things that in a platform like ClickFunnels you would have to, really work hard at. You can now have set up instantly when you're using WooCommerce. And then, as I was mentioning, since we chose that option like of one-to-many, you would use another add-on, something like Woocommerce Teams option. That allows you to have one person buy for a whole team of people. Things like online marketplaces. If you were selling with 5 or 6 vendors, you can have them all sell using the Docan plugin for WooCommerce, and that means that you can have them all sell their own goods, take their own money, and so forth. LaunchFlows allows you to sell in WooCommerce with upsells, downsells, cross-sells, all of the other sales funnel things. WP-Fusion is the tool that connects that marketing automation. Here we've got an unusual one. We're recommending the Download Manager because we said we want to have digital products and files so we can give protection as well as organization capability. WordFence provides protection over the normal security issues of WordPress, like brute force logins and people trying to run any kind of recent nefarious code against a particular plugin. WordFence is usually ahead of that game. Gravity Forms gives you an amazing and coherent way to add forms and intakes, but it also works with other plugins to allow you to do things like front-end editors, where people can, in many cases, let's say, modify their profile and their choices of their favorites, and you give them a nice, beautiful interface that can be edited after the fact. In the event that your site is established and you want to get some caching, we don't recommend caching up front, but once the site's established, things like your imagery and other static files can be cached using this. Monster Insights is great if adding your analytics. And again, there's many other plugins in the ecosystem, but what we're doing here is saying, look, this is for you, the stack for your platform, your white label ClickFunnels Shopify comparative, right? Rank Math is the absolute winner in the SEO space as of late. We recommend Elementor. Many people would say they use Divi or Beaver Builder or one of the others. Absolutely fine. This is a recommendation, but this is based upon factual data that we support that shows Elementor is your best use for across the board, integrating with all these other things in a coherent way. Hosting is a debate you can have, whether you use Kinsta or something else, but Cloudways is the Costco of hosting. So you can...
I do hope at some stage you recommend WP-Tonic's hosting.
You can go to WP-Tonic's hosting. So for anybody in the hosting space, I will say this. The hosting is a commodity item. The thing that you really want to buy is somebody who's going to run it for you. So let's say, go back to the WP-Tonic aspect. If you've got the services of WP-Tonic, you're getting the hosting that you need, but you're really getting the support and the hands-on stuff.
I just want to make it clear to listeners and viewers, it's more than that, Spencer. It's that you're getting LaunchFlows and almost all that software that Spencer is recommending as part of your package. So as long as you host with WP-Tonic, you don't have to buy literally any software. It's all supplied by us and maintained by us and made sure that it keeps on working the way that Spencer says it would work. So that it's a tremendous deal, Spencer.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, because remember at the beginning of this, I was suggesting that when you go to a ClickFunnels and you pay $300, the support you get is this works or it doesn't work. They are not there to babysit why or how something needs to be different or changed or talk to you about how it's implemented into your business. Same thing for Shopify. When you go with the WP-Tonic package, and let's say you've got a hosting with whatever and the various plugins that are recommended, John and his team are able to essentially not only give you the software as part of the deal, so you're for a lesser cost getting that in the bargain, but you also have somebody who's expert in knowing how those things work together. And I think that's a big point, because in WordPress, the biggest problem people have is, remember I said like the potluck dinner. In the past, anybody could make a plugin and still can for WordPress. If you bring in just one wrong plugin, that plugin can collide with some of the features or functions of one of the other modern plugins and cause unexpected behavior, which is why many people get frustrated. That's the Frankenstein monster. By sticking to the recipe, especially with the help of an expert, you know that all you need to focus on is how I'm using this for my business purpose. So rather than worrying about making the stack or making the WordPress platform of choices, you can leave all that to just, hey, it's ready to go. I've got my free choices myself. I'm using WP-Tonic. They're going to set it up and I get it. And that way you can focus on, what am I going to do with this? All right. So in terms of actual...
Can I also just quickly say that we also provide, which a lot of people find frustrating, is having to set up transactional and marketing email functionality. Well, we do that for you as part of our package. And with our starter package, you get up to 5,000 subscribers, 5,000 students, if you want to use that terminology. And you can send them unlimited transactional and marketing email to those people. And that's part of our package. Plus, we offer video hosting as well, Spencer.
Right. And that's, the key thing here is that we've moved from a help yourself, everything is your problem world to there are certain choices that have been proven to work together well. And then there are experts. John is the one here where the expert can shortcut you to the head of the line, kind of like if you went to Disney World with your kids. It's the VIP way to, instead of waiting on every ride, just go to the front, immediately get it done. And the cost of doing so ends up still being less than if you went to a platform and you were on your own. The other thing is that I like to call it the gilded cage lock-in. WordPress is always, you own it, you control it, it's 100% yours. If you're using John's services or using WP Launchify to help you with a further project plan or the marketing automation part of it and so forth.
Yeah, because
there's no lock-in.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of what you just said, because the other thing, we work very closely with Spencer. And if you want to have a whole funnel built out, all the steps and logic, we will send you to Spencer and his team, and you can have the whole thing planned out for you, and then we can implement it for you. But the other great thing is that you're not locked into WP-Tonic, unlike something like Shopify or Kajabi. We give you a guarantee that if you're fed up with our service, we will freely move you to another WordPress hosting provider, migrate you out, and that's totally free of charge, Spencer.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of the aesthetics. So this has come up. We're in a no code, but more importantly, no design world. So there was a point, as I suggested, in the early days of WordPress where it was a real struggle. In fact, that was one of the things we taught, how to make sites that looked good as well as function. And when you go to a ClickFunnels or especially over here, like a Shopify, it can be very compelling. You go, look how gorgeous that is. Everything is exactly as I want it. Well, guess what? You don't need to do that in WordPress either, because times 1,000, it already exists at the page builder level. So for example, with Elementor, one of the reasons I recommend it, if you type in Envato, as I had here, Envato Elementor templates, there's already specific templates for the page builder, not at the theme level, that are called template kits. And so if you see something that you love, you can just snap it up, open it up inside of WordPress, and ta-da, you've got everything that you need ready to go. So like, just as an example, let's look at what's here. Design is the least of your trouble. There's 869 template kits for Elementor for everything under the sun. And all you need to go is, let's say, oh, online grocery store. Okay, great. I was going to do that on Shopify. I'm going to do it here instead. And it costs you, I think the price is like $29 or something to get a 1 month membership, $16.50. Okay, go grab that. grab all the other assets that you need, drop it into your Elementor setup, and then use the other plugins like LaunchFlows, where you can design a sales funnel that, you know, is exactly as you want it with the drag and drop simplicity. But even better, it works with, let's say, your other components. Let's say you're selling online courses. Okay, I'm going to use Lift Through LMS, and I'm going to have, when you buy something, it onboards you to a course. You're going to track the behavior of the person in your sales funnel with the WP-Fusion and, let's say, your favorite CRM. Maybe it's Active Campaign, or maybe it's Fluent CRM, so that you know, oh, John just came in through my sales funnel. I registered and logged him in with WooCommerce into the new offer. He said yes to it, bought it. I gave him a tag. Now I gave him admission to the course, but now I'm going to send him a follow-up email with Active Campaign. And guess who owns and controls all of that? You do. Does it cost you a rental every month? No, it does not. It does cost you for the price of ownership of once a year for the software. But again, we could go over the price on this list and just let's do it for fun.
Which I want to add, if you come on the WP-Tonic platform, you get LaunchFlow as part of the package.
Right. So some of them is free. So like, let's take an example. We'll use what's the average cost for somebody if they're using your hosted platform solution? What's the
it's $55.
Okay.
It's an amazing value, isn't it, Spencer?
So $55 includes the hosting and all the software. So if you do 55 times 12, it's $600 plus
the, sorry to interrupt, Spencer, plus the email functionality, plus the video hosting.
Okay, so it's like $660 a year. Is that right? Did I do my math right?
Yes.
Okay, $660 a year versus ClickFunnels. It's going to cost you $3,600.
I'm sorry to interrupt again. I'm not being rude, Spencer, but if you pay for the yearly plan, you get a 20% discount. So it works out at
like another 160 off. So
it works out $550.
Okay, so $550 versus $3,600 plus you're locked out of this. In other words, you can't add or remove or change any of the feature set. On Shopify, the core pricing is, first of all, you don't even have the same feature set, but I can guarantee you, you can't do anything with basic Shopify. That's just misleading. You can see, for example, like what you can do here and where it falls off. There's another thing too, where they have extra credit card rates and some other fees and so forth. But the point is, for most Shopify, you're going to spend $80 a month for just the shopping. And then you're going to have to go into their marketplace and you're going to have to hire, lease all the extra add-ons things that you might need. So you got to look at it to see and add them up, but all of them are out of your control. I would say for most people, they end up spending kind of in the ballpark of this, about $300 a month when it's all said and done. Even if it was a little less than that, you're still at least double, maybe triple, even at the basic level, and you don't own it or control it, nor do you control or own the data of the clients. It's all over there. It doesn't mean you can't download it, but let me explain that. Let's say you build your business on ClickFunnels or you build it on Shopify, and then you decide you've outgrown the tricycle. Here's the problem. You can get the names of the clients. You can get that they bought some stuff, but what are you gonna do with it once you get it? It's literally just data on the page. If, on the other hand, you build with a stack in WordPress and you don't like John Denwood or his team, or you don't like the hosting, or you move on, guess what? You don't have to move it anywhere because you already own the platform and it can go with you. And I think that's something that people don't really understand. It's like, even if you're using a Twitter or a Facebook or some other platform, you post all your stuff over 20 years there. Even if they give you the file of the information, what is that good for? Nothing. Whereas if you build your stuff the first time on your own or with help on WordPress, you don't ever have a chance for that to be taken away from you. If you don't like the people you're doing business with, or you want to remove a plugin, everything else continues to just work. So in terms of, if you're not using the deal, which is a good deal, and you're doing it on your own, maybe selectively, it still ends up being an amazing proposition. Because let's just go through here. This Astra free, Stripe free, it's a transactional cost, but that's no matter where you go. WooCommerce free. WooCommerce Teams for memberships, if you bought that retail, I think that plugin is maybe like $129 maybe, retail, maybe Teams for WooCommerce. If you bought it from them directly, it is $129 a year, I guess correctly. I'm like, Price is Right. Doken, I believe
we include
you include it. I'm
that
saying,
as part of our package.
if even if you don't go with WP-Tonic, you're just on John Denwood and you have parted ways. If you just get your own licenses in the future, I don't know what Doken costs, but I think it's free to start, and they may have a premium version. So Doken,
that's an amazing product on its own, isn't it?
It is. There's a free version, and then there's the premium. The free version is free. The premium one is $149, right? So again, we're at 129 plus 149 is, let's say, $280 once a year. If we look at the other plugins, LaunchFlows has free trial. We have a single site license that's $150. So, 129, let's round it up. 130 plus 150 is 280. We had another 100, 380 plus 50 is 410. WP-Fusion is 247. Let's round it up to 250. So we're 410, 610, 660. Download File Manager is free. WordPress, for what you need it for, free. You can pay for the premium. Gravity Forms is very economical. I think it's, I don't know the latest cost because I've been with them forever, $59. So you're at $660, or it's called $700, $720. WP Rocket, free. You can pay for premium if you want. Monster Insights, free. Rank Math, free. Elementor. When you're using LaunchFlows, you can get the pro version for $40 a year, but you don't need it. So let's say you paid for the premium, fine, you're at $760. Cloudways, amazing value, most powerful, whether you go that or Kinsta or John's hosting. The point is you're going to pay on average, the value is on the open market, $25 to $45 a month for VPS hosting. But that's kind of an esoteric thing because you also need a CRM. And depending on whether you're on Active Campaign or this or that, you can spend, depending on your audience, anywhere from $25 to $125 a month. But the plugin stack we just talked about, a la carte, like I said, it's gonna be about $760 a year for all of the stuff you need. And then you'll have your variable costs for hosting and your CRM.
Plus we supply Lifter LMS universal package, which is $299. Or if you want to use LearnDash, we supply that. And I think for one site license, that's $150, isn't it?
They're both in the same range. I think LearnDash is $199.
No, not for the universal. The universal package is $299 actually, Spencer.
Well, okay. So again, right. If you go for the full Monty with 25 site license, but for single site, the basics, $159, and Lifter is even better because Lifter for the basics, it's free. And then you buy either the add-ons or in your case, you go for the full Monty. We recommend Lifter over LearnDash for many reasons anyway.
And we provide like WP affiliate as part of our package as well.
Affiliate
so
WP, right?
Yeah, affiliate. That. I always get that wrong, actually. Don't know why.
So, I mean, it kind of comes back to the suggestion I was making, which is if we're looking at the total cost, step one, you do WP Launchify for free. Self-identify which things you need. Then that becomes your recipe list to go to the grocery store. Now, you could go to the John Denwood WP-Tonic grocery store and like you get a personal shopper, you get personal concierge service, you get everything included in the price, and you spend $600 or $550 a year, done and done. Or if for some reason you're not using that, you do it on your own, but you still end up in the same range between $600 and $1,200 a year doing it on your own versus $3,600 a year for ClickFunnels, and probably the same for all of the features that you're going to need. And Shopify cannot do some of the things you can do on WordPress. And likewise, ClickFunnels can't. So what ClickFunnels and Shopify do is they specify ClickFunnels is sales funnels. It does a little bit of ability to sell a subscription thing, but not really manage the content and so forth. Shopify does mostly transactional stuff, really good for product sales, but doesn't do things like memberships and LMS. So either one of those two platforms is going to leave you holding the bag of things that you can do out of the box when you add the plugins in for those capabilities on WordPress. So you can get a comprehensive set of features. Truth be told, I use this in my consultation all the time. In today's world, if somebody needed a phone, guess what? It has this format, right? It's an iPhone, it's an Android. It's not looking like a flip phone or a Trio or anything anymore, because we've come to the world decision that that's the format that works. Similarly, everybody in WordPress ends up basically needing one of these 5 or 6, one of these 5 or 6 core features, right? They got transactional engine, learning management organization, they've got affiliates, they've got something where they want to have sales funnels, maybe gamification. And those things are all capable of being turned on without changing your price or your complexity. As long as you do the stack of plugins that we're recommending, you can benefit from our experience. The biggest problems that we have are somebody brings in a membership plugin that they don't need anymore, right? In the old days, you needed a membership plugin to take on the customers or manage their subscriptions or do blah, blah, blah. And it's not I'm not being critical of the membership plugins, but when you do WooCommerce with WP-Fusion, a sales funnel with LaunchFlows and your favorite CRM, you have 4 core plugins that are doing much more, but they eliminate the need for what a membership plugin used to have to try to do. And it does it better because
and
they're all—
I want to point out to the viewers, it's modulated, so you don't have to.
You don't have to use any or all of them.
You can just use WooCommerce with LaunchFlows, with the subscription plugin, and just set up your membership levels. But then with what Spencer's saying, it's all prepared, ready to do the marketing automation, and it's all, you've got all the framework already built there, haven't you, Spencer?
Exactly. So I want to show you an example. Because you can control what a page looks like with simplicity, drag and drop builder, right? And like we just talked about, you can buy a ready to go theme with, or ready to go template pack or template kit. You can keep it super simple, but I'm showing you like different layout for different checkout experiences. This is all just dragging and dropping stuff with Elementor, right? But at the back end, it's so simple because, again, using WooCommerce, using WP-Fusion, using LaunchFlows, you can simply have a product and you tell the product what it's supposed to do, right? So here, this is a product that you buy access to a course with. So I've made it virtual. It's a one-time buy. LaunchFlows, you just tell it where's the checkout page, where you just drag the right widgets in place. Where's the thank you page? Is this to be bought by itself? Is this something that I want to use as its own sales page? And then with WP-Fusion, you say, please apply a tag when they buy this, because that tag is going to act as the feeder ticket that lets you into the course, which in this case is Lifter LMS. I made a new course. I told the course, please stand at the door, and with WP-Fusion, link this course with the tag so that it auto-enrolls somebody. It lets somebody into this movie theater. And here's the same tag that they would be buying from that product. So that's how simple it can be. If you add affiliates, you could also in that product say, how much commission does the affiliate get if this product is sold? If you had something like gamification with GamiPress, you could say, how many points is somebody awarded if they click this button or buy this product or view this thing? If you wanted to use, let's say, one of the other components of Elementor.
I think one of the things we've got to get across is that, because it can be a little bit intimidating, especially tagging, making that jump. But I think the beauty of the system that we both believe in now is that you can take small steps, can't you? You can take little steps, especially, even if you're using a native CR system, and we recommend Fluent CRM, both me and Spencer, if you're going to go a native CRM.
If you want to use it as a plugin versus a SaaS service, correct.
But
otherwise,
we still recommend that you should use Fluent CRM with WP-Fusion, because if you ever want to move away from a native system for whatever reason and use a SaaS-based system like ActiveCampaign, there's a number of them, isn't there, Spencer? It will make it much easier for you to move to a SaaS-based system if you decide that you want to do that. I mean,
that is the core of it, but there's also a bigger issue, which is what happens in the modern build. Again, and all credit to Jack, and of course I work directly with WP-Fusion, so I'm basing this on factual experience as well as being slightly biased, is that we used to require each plugin to be specifically written to work with other specific plugins, okay? So kind of think of the USB cables. I had one laying around my desk here. Before these amazing cables, you used to have to get on an airplane with 57 different connectors for your laptop and your phone and your headset and your this and your that. Other than this nonsense with lightning cables from Apple, every product maker now uses USB, okay? Which means that you go to a hotel and there's already an outlet that has USB. You can just charge your stuff. Similarly, when you use this method, you've got a stack in WordPress that is guaranteed. Each of those plugins for each of the features you want to enable, you simply connect it to the other ones using tags or fields. And that is to say, the user who is experiencing your site, you allow them to give you information about themselves, either by filling out the forms, like it's Spencer at help@wplaunchify.com. I like chocolate. I'm from Chicago. Or because I've done things. I bought the product. I clicked on a course. I started a lesson. And that data is usable to connect the various plugins in your stack to work as a complete platform. And best of all, that data, as you were indicating, is not only stored locally on the user, so it's impermeable to being, stolen from me. I can synchronize it to the platform I'm using for the CRM, if it's not the plugin version like Fluent CRM. Let's say I'm using ActiveCampaign. I can send it to ActiveCampaign where I can then automate follow-ups based upon what somebody said.
I think for people, especially, you got that great ability. If you're established, you've got an established membership site, and you don't want to move away from your SaaS CRM provider, using the stack that we're talking about with WP-Fusion, you don't have to. Or if you're starting out and you want the price savings and the really nice interface which Fluent CRM provides, you've got it there, haven't you? So you've got real flexibility, haven't you?
Yeah, I want to be clear about something, because when we recommend the stack, we're not recommending any particular CRM. Although I agree with what you've said, let me clarify why we're not recommending any CRM in the stack. Not everybody understands what CRMs do yet. So there's a step removed from your initial stack to which CRM to use. And that is, as you've rightly pointed out, if you say yes, or I'd like to know more about marketing automation, we will introduce you to WP-Fusion. In fact, you can have a free call with me to personally learn more about it. Once you've decided that you're going to do marketing automation, which I think everybody should, then you're presented with, well, what do we recommend? And we have two choices. In the plugin version, which gives you complete ownership and control, Fluent CRM is the clear leader today. They're doing it the way that we have always wanted it to be. In the SaaS hosted version, ActiveCampaign is the proper choice for most people who have otherwise not started with some.
I think it provides the best value of the SaaS platforms, doesn't it?
And let me point out too, so in terms of this thing, this is free. This doesn't cost you. You use it all you want. You can save it. We don't spam you. What's the next step from here? Now, if you work with WP-Tonic, you're going to get shortcut to the front of the line. You're going to get the concierge, everything. Many people don't necessarily need that, but they do need expertise about these plugins. They need help. I need a project plan. I need a consultative plan of what am I going to do with these things now that you've identified the recipe. So we have something at WP Launchify, which is, I'm working on the name, but I'll call it a consultative plan. It's $100. It's a personal phone call. I take the interview personal with you. It's usually only about 20 minutes. I ask specific questions in an interview about what you're going to do and why. And then I give you a report, which sort of like, hey, Martha Stewart, I know here's the recipe with all the stuff to make the cookies. Can you please talk to me and tell me exactly what to do and how to make them so they come out right? And that's a great starting point, because at that stage, somebody can decide for themselves whether they need to go it alone or whether they want additional ongoing care. John's team provides all the concierge level at the hosting, the value of the software, all the things we discussed.
I just want to make that clear to people. At the $55 plan, we will update the plugins and we will update the core WordPress. And me and my team make ourselves available. But if you want support, edits, people to help you change things after you've set things up. We got a secondary level where we charge a little bit extra, and we will do unlimited edits for you. But where Spencer comes in and his team is, they provide, especially the marketing automation side, is that we've teamed up with Spencer and his team. And if you're looking to have marketing automation consultancy and a plan of action, or for them to set it up for you, I know you offer a
let me interrupt you on that. I'm going to give you a better metaphor I've been thinking about. Imagine you were planning on building a home or a high rise, right? For most people, you have the person who is the construction team, contractors, subcontractors. But you know who else you have to hire? You have to hire a few experts, like an architect or an engineer, or an environmental person. Metaphorically, I'm giving you the ability for free to figure out what you need if you want to do it yourself. You may step to the next level and say, okay, I know what I need to buy from the lumber yard, but for $100, please outline for me what this thing would look like as a project if I do it myself. Now you're at the point where you've revealed what you need, what is involved in the project, how long it'll take, how much it'll cost. Now you have a choice. If you want the expertise to help you architect this specific to your tastes or needs, or you have an enterprise, WP Launchify has ongoing care. You pay an hourly fee, could be as little as 1 hour, for us to go into details, do a back and forth, explain to you. You then have to either have a team member to do it, or, by the way, here's a contractor. The contractor is WP-Tonic that has all the subcontractors, and they throw in all the value proposition. So WP Launchify's expertise is at the higher consultative level of overseeing why, how, and what to do, but then you decide whether to do it yourself or do it with the help of a trusted, team player. And that's what keeps you in the best spot, because less annual cost, own and control everything, bulletproof, guaranteed to work. Whether you do it yourself or you do it with someone else, you won't make a Frankenstein monster. You won't have shiny ball syndrome where you're just buying everything willy-nilly and throwing it in there, and you'll have no regrets, because each step of the way is so economical compared to even going and making the mistake of a platform. But again, own it, control it, not locked into rental. The biggest regret people from ClickFunnels have, half of which are my LaunchFlows customers, is they never told me, because Russell is such an awesome salesman, that I'm basically just on my own using their software with no help. It looks so easy to make $1 million because they talk about.
Well, I think they do provide consultation, but it's at a price that, and good, I'm not criticizing, but it's at a price. I was talking to one of our clients that is in the VIP circle of consultancy. We have direct access to brands.
Do you know how much that costs?
She's paying between $40,000 to $60,000.
Okay, so again, let's talk real world example. The people who are listening to this in WordPress are not going to spend $40,000 to $60,000 for VIP hosting. If anybody here who's listening would like VIP concierge and has 40 to 60 grand, I have a roster of over 2,500 clients who have made 7 figures with their business. Has nothing to do with me. It's their product, their service that's making.
Well, it's not. It's
you can pay me $40,000 to $60,000, and I'll share with you what they used, because That's what the big fallacy is here.
But I just want to make it clear, for that 40 to 60,000, she's getting direct access.
But that's like, that's nonsense. I mean, I'm not criticizing you for saying it's nonsense, because that's like saying an NFL football player with a $30 million a year contract who has an entourage of trainers and personal support and, you know, a butler and a driver, like that's applicable to a real world person who's got a family of 4 driving a minivan. I mean, this is a real world entrepreneur or an implementer of WordPress who is going to have a budget for a build out of $2,500 to $5,000. And the stack on an annual basis, it's reasonable that they pay $1,000, $1,200. Even those people who are paying for the basics of ClickFunnels or Shopify, let's just say that's $3,600. Apples for apples. For $300, you will get nowhere near the level of personal attention, support, information, strategy, or otherwise as you would get from what I'm describing here. When you start with the free plan and then go to the $100 project plan or consultative plan, for that $100, you're already 50% of the way to understanding what you need. If you need ongoing care for the value proposition of, let's go over the details of what this sales funnel will look like and how to connect it all together, I want to know of it. You're right there, maybe spending $300 more. You're at $400. You've got everything you need to do it yourself. But as you've described, what a great value. Instead of paying retail and buying the software and being on your own, why not just go and get John's contracting team and support and hosting who know this thing like the back of their hand because we work together, who will implement it for you. And when you're done with it, here's the best part. At the end of the first year or whatever time they spend with you, they can always say, John, it's been great. I love you. Let's keep in touch on the holidays, but it's your thing. You own it, control it. Whereas the minute you say bye-bye Russell or bye-bye Shopify, what are you going to do? You can't take Shopify store and move it to something else. It doesn't work that way. You can't take ClickFunnels and move it to somewhere else. But with WordPress, guess what? You own it forever as long as you keep your plugins up to date.
We got, I've got some questions, but also we've got some questions from the people that are watching us on YouTube, Spencer.
Great. I love it.
We've got one that from a user called Flip Black. And they said they've just used your LaunchFlows recommendation engine, but they're saying that you don't recommend CartFlows or WooFunnels because they're direct competitors to your LaunchFlows.
Well, no, that's not why. The reason is simply anybody who doesn't know this story, and I'll be honest, you can find it. I published it. I was retained by Sujay at Astra to help with CartFlows marketing by making SkillJet courses. If you go to skilljet.io, you will see, guess what? Sujay still has me as one of the authors and educators. Now, when I did that, I worked exclusively and began making helpful videos as well as teaching people how to use CartFlows. Guess what happened? I found out that I didn't like the way they architected the plugin. And again, this is a long story, but I'll make it short. I already was working directly with Jack at WP-Fusion and realized that I could write a better plugin to do what we needed to supplement what WooCommerce already does and make it work directly with WP-Fusion. So absolutely 100%, you will not get a recommendation to use any other sales funnel product but LaunchFlows. Why? Because I specifically wrote this for this purpose that we're teaching people to do. And I am the one who's responsible personally, unlike Adam, who doesn't code. He has to rely on Sujay and his team to fix stuff. Go to LaunchFlows for free in the Facebook group. You give me a use case, you give me a problem, you give me a pain point. There are 400 plus people who will swear in a Bible that like that day, I will often change the software to add that feature or modify it. So absolutely, I challenge anybody. And there's people like Chris Lemma and otherwise Dave Swift who are doing reviews as a shootout. LaunchFlows does what CartFlows and WooFunnels does, and I say it does it better. So of course I don't recommend the other products. We're not trying to be objective here. We're trying to be specifically prescriptive. Because if I told you use any of these three things, how am I helping you? A friend who gives you advice, they say, Spence, should I jump off a bridge? Should I marry this person? Should I drink this coffee or that tea? If you go, I don't know, pick amongst these three choices, you're not helping your friend.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, Spencer. But also, I think the question was a little bit mean anyway, because
doesn't matter.
It was a little bit mean anyway, because obviously you're like any business. And WP-Tonic is just the same. We're here to make money, listeners and viewers, but basically,
wait, hold on. I want to add to that, because you bring up a point. I am on record since the beginning of WordPress. In fact, through my whole entrepreneurial career, I wear it all out on my sleeve. Okay. The products I build, the things that I teach, they're all me in public. I like to say I'm working on the airplane engines while we're flying. Unlike other people, my personality is such that I love it when people call me out for bullshit, because that's what I do to other people. And I am extremely grateful when people call bullshit on me, because either they better be prepared to back it up with facts or not. There is no question that I have a stake in the games of people using LaunchFlows, but a good majority of people who come in for the stack, who answer no to the sales funnel question, guess what? They're not going to be recommended to use LaunchFlows just to use LaunchFlows. They're recommended LaunchFlows because they said, yes, I need a sales funnel with upsell, downsells. Yeah, and that's it.
Right. So let's move on a little bit, because I've got some other questions for you, Spencer.
I like these.
Now, when it comes to, and I've had a lot of the people that we're hosting for, they have this question. And as part of our stack, we have a particular solution. But, for the health consultant, business consultant, they're wanting people to be able to sign up a particular time and book a paid consultation. For that, we, as part of our stack that we have available for free, we have we recommend Amelia, AMELIA.
I can reveal that if you had chosen in the questions, I didn't choose it. If you had chosen in the questions, I need that service, Amelia is the product that we recommend in that regard.
Oh, that's great. Would you like to give some background of what it can do and why you recommend it like we do?
I mean, essentially what happens, it's in the same way that we do it. If you have a service that is either time-based or Zoom-based, or it's an event, you really want a process where your sales funnel, even if it's for free, introduces somebody to what you're offering, allows them to self-schedule, allows them to pay you if they're going to pay you, and allows them to automatically add it to their calendar so they show up. And if you use a service for the online connection like Zoom, you also want to be able to deliver, let's say, transcripts or recordings. So in my case, whether we're using Amelia, which we do in some cases, or we're using something more simple, like just literally Elementor goes to Calendly, the process is exactly the same. Here, for example, this is a perfect way to do this. WP-Fusion, if you go there and you need help, right? You can try a demo and so on and so forth, or you can go over to Get Help and you say free consultation. Now, what happens is, this is going to me start talking in a second. You could say, learn about what it is. I want a free call. In our case, it will take you directly to our Calendly, not Amelia in this case. You book a call. This one's free. But what I'm saying is, this is just using the same stack of features, right? I've got WordPress. I've got a form builder of some kind like Gravity Forms. I've got a Elementor page builder. When I click a button, it knows that it's sending me to a calendar link program. If this was Amelia, it would be a very similar experience. The person gives their email. They tell a little bit about themselves. They say what they need, and then they get put into the process of, let's say, meeting with me. And in some places, they might end up having to pay money, in which case I would use WooCommerce and LaunchFlows. But the point is, that user now becomes a person in my system who I can track and tag and know what to do next with them via the automations that I program into my CRM, whether it's Fluent or ActiveCampaign. And because I know what they want, the next time the person comes back, it doesn't say, hey, stranger. It says, hey, John Denwood, I know we had a meeting 4 days ago. Here's what I'm going to give to you. Because now I know who you are and you're using this stack of stuff on my WordPress site. So in terms of Amelia, Amelia is a comparative to using a SaaS hosted program like Calendly or something. And in terms of benefit, it tightly integrates with the other components that we're talking about in the stack so that you could, for example, use Amelia to get more detailed information immediately about the person and immediately change the entire sales funnel as you're going through it. Whereas if you're using Calendly, you'll notice, see how I'm at calendly.com? I can't really do a lot to change the look and feel of this. If I was using Amelia here, I could, based upon, let's say you said your favorite color is yellow. I mean, when you show up, this could all be yellow and it just psychologically looks and feels better. So
now another question, there's a little bit of, how to put this, cross flow here between WP-Fusion and this particular, but we do provide both because we think they do provide also two extinct different levels of functionality. And I'm talking about Uncanny Automator Pro.
Yep.
How do you there is a little bit of overlap.
No,
but I also feel that they do two very distinct things.
Yeah,
First of all, would you agree with that? And secondly, how would you explain the differences of what they do?
Right. So it's a great question. Sorry, I got excited to answer it. There's two columns of automation that happen. The question that, again, I'm pitching the idea. If somebody goes on and they want to have a planning session, one of the things we do is differentiate these things through the interview process. The two columns of automation are, ask yourself the question, is this something that in the future I need to know you chose to do, or do I need you to just choose this right now at this fork in the road for your sales funnel? So for example, Uncanny, as well as other plugins like If So, provide a way for immediate automation. Is a particular product in the cart? Did you come from a particular URL? Is it Tuesday the 22nd? That might be relevant as to what I'm offering you at the moment in the sales funnel or in the onboarding process. And after you make a choice or it decides for you, I really don't need that information in the future. So those plugins, including the Uncanny and If So, and there's a few others, are really terrific add-ons to the stack of plugins with the WooCommerce, especially at the core. Whereas WP-Fusion is much broader, but what it does as its specialty is it allows you to memorialize long-term field data and tags about a user's preferences. If Spence buys a subscription to a particular plugin, I need Spence to have a tag. Why? The tag says purchased membership, blah, blah, blah. A, so that my CRM knows and I can segment that Spence bought it. Please show me everybody who has the membership tag. B, because it opens the door to giving him enrollment and access to the Lifter LMS course. The fact is that since I need that tag long-term, Uncanny Automator, If So, and those other ones can't help me there. WP-Fusion can help me there. And in those cases where you need both coming together, like I show in many LaunchFlows example, let's say you've got a LaunchFlows checkout and you want to conditionally offer something at the time of checkout, but you need to know, did somebody already buy it? Is it already in the cart? Are they from Chicago or from New York City? Guess what? I can tell if they bought it because they have the tag from WP-Fusion. I could tell if they're from Chicago, New York, because Uncanny or If So says that that's what the URL information is in their browser. And if I know if it's in the cart, both of those other products can also say, do I already have that plugin, particular purchase product in the cart? And so that's how they work together.
That's great. I just wanted to see, because in a way, the quick answer I give to people is that I see Uncanny Automator as the kind of Zapier of WordPress. It kind of enables WordPress plugins that don't have any kind of add-on plugin to be able to communicate and do things together where I see WP-Fusion has a bit of that, but it's really the tagging and also being able to communicate with external CRMs as its strength.
They both do both, but the difference is if you focus on the question whether I need this now or I need it in the future, because it works both ways for both. Like if I said right now all I was using WP-Fusion, I could give you a tag for anything you do, click or see. But the problem is then you got a bunch of tags that you don't need in the future. So it's like, why did I go to all that trouble? On the other hand, with Uncanny or If So, I could give you, like a different outcome based upon something now. But as you said, I would need to then figure out how to save that long term in the future, which would be very hard to do. So they do complement each other. And I don't want to, honestly, I don't want anybody to feel that it has to be this or that. They do work really well together. And for this purpose of like short-term automation plus long-term automation as part of a strategic plan.
It gives them a choice, and that's why we offer it. It's an expensive plugin, and we offer it as part of our stack. Now, on to another question: Buddy Boss and Buddy Boss Pro. How do you? I find it slightly difficult to explain that. You got the plugin part of Buddy Boss, but it's very much. I want to see if you agree with this. It's very much of a hybrid because it also relies on the theme to complement and really shine out the actual functionality of the plugin. So you really got to run both, really.
It's not an option. You have to use both.
You have to really, but then you can't run another child theme on top. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now. It doesn't really matter now because you can use Elementor, can't you, to do custom home pages and other pages. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, let me explain how it works. And this gets into the why it's worth $100 to do a project plan and or ongoing care. Buddy Boss is another fork in the road decision point. We ask a person, is the site you're building something that is going to have social networking components as a primary feature, or is it just an afterthought? If the answer is yes, then absolutely they must use the Buddy Boss framework, which includes the plugin and one of the themes. Then if they need other sales pages or sales funnels, we recommend that they're using Elementor because they can have essentially a canvas page which eliminates all of the interaction of the Buddy Boss theme and allows the Elementor page builder to take over that particular page slug to do the thing they need it to do. So essentially the fallback is Buddy Boss in the way that those things are configured, but for any particular sales funnels, onboarding, specific types of use cases, you can override that by using the Elementor theme builder and the templates. If on the other hand, they don't have social networking as their primary component, we suggest you use Astra or comparable, Hello theme. But we like Astra because Astra, the free version, has the basics you need, which allow you to essentially show or don't show the header footer, show or don't show the sidebar, configure the basics of your, what you need and nothing else. Because as soon as you go into the pro, you go off into danger zone because that entire design layer should not be handled at the theme level anymore. It should be handled at the page builder level of Elementor.
This is the only we fork slightly with Spencer on here, but because we provide the Astra starter themes. But what we have done, the problem with the only slight problem with the Astra starter themes that have been optimized to work with the Astra parent theme because they both come from Brainstorm. But the only problem is that the Astra, because they wanted the starter themes to work with Elementor, the free version, they added some functionality which is normally handled by Elementor Pro, and it can cause a little bit of confusion. But with some of the themes that come from Astra, what we have done is we stripped out that element of confusion. So because we are providing Elementor Pro, we chose about half a dozen of the Astra starter themes, and we stripped out the confusion bit, which is understandable because I'm not having a go at Astra at all, because I think it's still one of the best themes if you're building on this stack.
Absolutely. And let me clarify. I'm not saying to somebody, don't buy Astra Pro. I'm simply saying that when you're asking for help, you're starting with this free service, LaunchFlows. Okay. I'm telling you, I'm going to give you the fundamental bare minimum necessary to succeed. Now, at the point at which you want to customize, if you're on your own, it is confusing as all heck for somebody to add Astra Pro and then turn on a bunch of features that all of a sudden start getting their tentacles into places you don't understand. And what you're referring to, because it's just too confusing to talk about, is Astra Pro and Astra Starter kits borrow from Elementor and start making things appear and show up that don't logically make sense to somebody who's not a really deep knowledge expert. So instead of telling people, go to Costco and buy 57 ingredients and mix them together, I'm like, no, buy one thing. You need a base theme. On your own, buy the page builder and use a template kit. Now, if you have help from John or another expert, guess what? Absolutely. You can do anything you want because this is open source software, right?
We just do it, but we just do that, Spencer, because people still like the idea of a theme as a starter block, but they find the Astra parent theme too bland because they just don't have that experience of a WordPress.
When you're working together with them, it's a good idea. So, for example, in your case, it absolutely makes sense because you already are going to be doing the concierge work for them. Listen, I'm 54. I used to build houses. I don't get on ladders anymore, right? I try not to clean my own basement or something that's like really too much work. If there's things that I want to have done for me, I pay for the service. And that's what people are paying you for, is to, okay, I want it to look cool. So
to kind of wrap up the thing, I want to get one last question, or I think will be useful for our viewers. I think it's been a fabulous live event. I think we've covered an enormous amount of activity. We've had quite a few people watching it on YouTube. So I want to go into the differences, the way how I explain what I see the differences between Lifter LMS and LearnDash, and how somebody should rationalize maybe which one they should choose. Now, what I say to people is Lifter LMS, I think it's great for the individual training entrepreneur. I think somebody that's a business consultant, a health consultant, fitness consultant, or in a small team of, let's say, a company of 5 to 10 people, and they're looking to sell membership online, I think Lifter LMS is a great choice. Now, if you're a private college, a private educational establishment, maybe you're a company of 50 to 100 to 1,000 people, and you're looking to build an internal training system, I would actually recommend LearnDash to those type of organizations. First of all, would you agree with what I'm outlining? And if you don't, maybe you can put your own spin on it, Spencer, how you explain to people how they rationalize which one they should choose, either Lifter LMS or LearnDash.
Right. I fundamentally agree with your outcome, but I'm going to tell you how we arrive at that differently. And also with regard to recommendations, we recommend for WP LaunchFlows, Lifter LMS in almost every case. Here's why. I have a very deep relationship, directly with Chris and indirectly with Thomas.
Fabulous guy, been very kind to me.
And Justin Ferenman is well known in the community. Unlike many,
I don't know Justin as well as Chris.
Nobody knows Justin as well because Justin is not accessible. He's self-admitted he's not a coder, and he just does not make himself as accessible as Chris, let's say. So here's why we recommend after a lot of research. This is a Coca-Cola and Pepsi proposition. Both of these software plugins have reached a maturity level where they do the basics really well. And there are subtle differences in the way they approach certain things. So what happens is the sales model and the support model is distinctively different. When you buy into Lifter LMS and you're an entrepreneur or an implementer, which is, again, we're joking, most people don't have $60,000 to call Russell Brunson up at home. For the normal people,
probably never will.
Okay.
If I had the 60,000, I wouldn't be giving them a call.
Have your friend call me. I'll give her my cell phone because she can write the check to Spencer Foreman, and I'll be available to talk to her once a month for 60 grand, like Russell. Now, I can't take away the ClickFunnels sales success and strategy, but on the software level, if you start with the free Lifter LMS and you use the other stack of stuff, for a lot of people, you're not going to build the outcome based upon using the extra software from Lifter, but you will still want to pay for the support. Why? Because Chris and his team will essentially become your bestest buddies personally and take care of you like a family member. Now, LearnDash, on the other hand, you pay for to get to it, and it already has all the tchotchkes for free as part of the package. However, they handle you in a much more hands-off corporate type of way. They're responsive and they do what they got to do, but they're not going to do backflips for you about, well, how do I use this for my particular thing? So where does that work out in the real world? As I said, you come to the same result. If you are an enterprise and you've got thousands upon thousands of dollars or thousands of users, and I agree with you, an enterprise corporate client probably should start with LearnDash to begin with. They'll pay for the whatever they got to pay for, and they'll feel good about the fact that it has that level of professionalism and support. For most normal mere mortals, Lifter LMS, the relationship with Chris and Thomas, the family relationship is everything, because that's very similar to Jack Arturo at WP-Fusion. It's very similar to the way I do it with all my stuff, LaunchFlows and otherwise. And I think that that's the most important part, is that most people struggle not with what is available. They struggle with what to do with what's available, right? Shiny ball.
I think the area where but I think I'm going to bring this up because you've got you brought up something which is Woocommerce, and that's Teams. I think the other area where we used to push LearnDash is that when people wanted to set up sub accounts where people could buy and the only real solution was Uncanny Owl's
the group plugin.
Yeah, I know that Lifter LMS have brought out their own group product, but it's still
we don't do either one of those anymore.
You know, but you recommend using a WooCommerce add-on solution. Right. Do you mind just giving them some information about that?
I mean, this is actually exactly what I was just referring to. So for Lifter, I can't say any stronger that somebody should buy support from Chris, okay? Because you will really get the kind of support that's incredible. The extra add-ons that they have are useful for somebody who has a very small, like your conversation, is it LMS or is it like, if you just want one plugin to put some course on and do nothing else, fine, use their selling tools and their whatever tools. But for most people, the LMS is organizing courses and lessons and quizzes. And for selling, we recommend using WooCommerce. Now, depending on your particular flavor, and that's where the consultative process comes in at my level, for many people, they want to sell one to many. You want to have one person pays and then 20 people get in to become enrolled in a course. You can enroll them with a purchase of a product individually or giving them tags. The downside or the complexity comes, well, how do I get 20 people in there, right? Like, you don't want the office manager having to log in and pay individually for 20 people. So by using the Teams for WooCommerce memberships plugin, that's the one exception to needing a membership plugin, because you need to unfortunately use the membership plugin of WooCommerce. It does nothing. It's just there like Velcro, so you can use the Teams plugin. And then what happens is you sell the product just like you would normally, just like I showed you earlier. pay the money, but instead of paying for one person to enroll, you can pay for 10 or 20 or 100 people.
And that allows you to have a sub admin, somebody like, let's take the metaphor,
like an office manager.
Yeah, like you're selling to multiple organizations, and each organization would have a sub admin,
like a school or a company, right? You sell to a school, you got 100 teachers need to get access to this something. The school is going to pay with a check with a net 30. You still will use WooCommerce, the Teams for WooCommerce memberships, the memberships plugin, even though it's not doing anything. You will sell them the product that gives them the tags, that automates the thing. But what they buy is the ability for this manager, the office manager, to invite whoever is on their staff to come and participate, so that that person can still self-register, but they don't have to pay. Ta-da. And all of their progress is monitored, all their automation, they're enrolled in the groups, everything else. Now, Uncanny's product is fine. I actually am doing webinars with Uncanny and some other stuff. There's another product from Wisdom Labs that does it. Yes. Those are alternatives. But the core version of how to do this, bulletproof, is what I'm alluding to here. And that is a popular option when we have these conversations, where you wouldn't know how to do that if you were not doing this every day of the week. It would take a lot of, holy mackerel. Like, I'm getting 47 articles that all tell me to do different stuff. And I'm saying, hey, you know what? Maybe there's 48 ways to do this, but my way is proven with 30,000 plus people in 14 years of working the best. And I have one advantage. I'm at the level of working directly with the code base and the other authors to make sure that, just like if this was Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels, Russell wouldn't allow 48 ways for something to be done. There'd be one way for it to be done. So I'm saying, if you want a ClickFunnels experience here, do it this way, and I will personally guarantee that it works.
Right. I think we'll wrap this up, because it's gone on for quite a while, but we've covered the enormous amount of territory. And I think anybody listening to this, hopefully you've got an enormous amount of value. I'd be amazed if you hadn't. So just to wrap it up, how can people find out more about what you're into and get more information about your services and everything?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the three places we talked about: go to WP Launchify. So you can do this service, click an email, and you get in touch with me, or you can do help at WP Launchify. You can go to LaunchFlows, the sales funnel choice, and do help at launchflows.com, or click contact. Or you can go, like I just showed you, go to WP-Fusion and click to get a free consultation. So any of those three choices, plus I'm all over the Facebook groups, and search Spencer Foreman. I've been doing this since the beginning of WordPress. And one of the things I love is it's a huge community that's like a small town. So there's only a few dozen of us that have been here forever. And I like to think I'm one of them. So it'd be very hard for you not to be able to reach me through any number of different ways. And I encourage you.
Right. If you want to find out more and join a community about membership, learning management systems, and marketing automation, all the things that we've discussed in this live presentation, you can join the WP-Tonic Facebook group. I'll make sure that it's in the show notes that support this video, the link to it. And me and Spencer and a couple of other people of the WP-Tonic tribe will be administrating and answering all your questions in that group. And it should be a great fun and great value, shouldn't it, Spencer?
I think what we're going to do with this is, because you've been asking me to participate, this WordPress membership pros, or whatever the URL is for this, what we're going to do is take the stack components, and at least my end of it is I'm going to continue to use that as a place to give daily bite-sized snippets of stuff, like for people who are either for themselves, but mostly people that I think want to gain a higher level of knowledge to become an implementer of some kind. Because, I'm not going to sit here and, like I used to, teach people, this is how to make money. Instead, I'm going to say, these are the tools and how to use them if you are in the business of making money for yourself. And that way we can take the pressure off, like I'm promising you're going to make $1 million. Instead, I promise if you do it this way, you won't be able to come back to me and say that you had a better way to do it, because I do like to wear it on my sleeve, and I'm open to any criticism available so that we can figure out what is the better way if there is something I don't know about.
And we've got Stephen Saunders. He's an expert on website optimization, making your WordPress a speed machine. We've got my friend John Locke, who's at SEO, and you got me that can advise you, like Spencer, about all what that we have discussed. We'll be back next month, the second Friday around 10:30, and you'll be able to watch this on YouTube. And we'll be delving in this world of membership, learning management systems, marketing,